So
Nicole, can you read that article again that you were gonna read before?
Yeah.
Cool.
So this is from the BBC.
Is it?
It is.
Wow,
Yeah,
straight at
from
you,
the
X.
From the
BBC.
horse's mouth.
Looking you in the eyes when she
What's
said
going
that.
on here, man? It had to be Nicole reading it too.
Nicole, can you say that again?
Yeah,
The
couldn't hear you.
Tell us about the BBC, Nicole.
all right,
Tell us.
fucking. So it says U.S. President Joe Biden says it has been, quote, his greatest honor to serve as he ends campaign. U.S. President Joe Biden.
Is that what he said, or did he say it is been the greatest honor to?
It was probably
serve.
more like that.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't have
probably
a
more
video,
like that,
but
I was wondering what's going on with you right now. Like, Xavier doesn't talk like that.
That's the point.
I didn't realize you were trolling and shit. I've never heard this fool stutter not once, and it's not a now nutter stutter in his whole fucking life.
But yeah, basically 30 minutes before we started filming, I opened Instagram and it said that
Joe Biden
is dropping out of the election. But yeah, this article says U.S. President Joe Biden has announced that he will end his candidacy for re-election, saying it is in the best interest of my party and the country. It comes 4 months before Americans go to the polls, upending the race for the White House. It follows weeks of intense pressure from fellow Democrats after a faltering debate performance against Republican Donald Trump at the end of June. Following the announcement on Sunday evening, I guess evening, the fuck? That's today.
Yeah.
was it last
Three
week?
3 hours ahead on the East Coast.
That's true,
but that's still not evening.
yeah, like this happened.
It's 12:36 right now.
What's the date? Does it say date on that?
The date on the top is it's today and it updated 22 minutes ago, but it's definitely from this Sunday. It has to be.
Interesting.
But yeah, I don't know why they wrote evening because that's kind of
we
weird.
in a-
They wrote it so fast to be first that they fucking did a misnomer.
Are
probably.
we in a simulation right now?
Dude,
Well, he
I
made
just
a-
saw. Never mind.
He made a comment. He already wrote a comment about it and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys want to hear that as well.
Let's hear it.
Let her finish
Yeah,
though.
let her
She's not
finish,
done.
actually. Yeah.
At the end of where was the evening?
I don't know if there was much left to that.
I got so lost, guys, on this thing. But he said down here it says, and while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it's in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. During the debate, he was criticized for often being incoherent and speaking in a weak voice, something that his party claimed as down to a cold. Following it, there were growing calls from within his own party for him to stand aside, with a growing number of congressional Democrats worried his campaign would hurt their own re-election chances in November.
Cold my ass.
Yeah, that's not a cold. Dude, he has dementia. Like, he really does.
He does.
And then basically it says Kamala Harris has the backing of the current president. It is unclear at the moment if she will be selected as the new candidate,
And then he announced
or
it.
if somebody else is gonna. Well,
He
all
announced
he
that
did was
he
endorse
endorsed her,
her,
right? Okay,
so
okay.
someone still has to be selected.
So it's kind of ironic because if you're basically admitting that you're unfit to be the president,
And this is my unfit choice.
this is my unfit opinion that this person should be the president, then it literally means nothing.
True.
The comment he made specifically from Joe off of his, I don't know if it's his website or whatever the fuck he was using, but I'll rate it right now. It says, "My fellow Democrats, I have decided not to accept the nomination and focus all of my energies on my duties as president for the remainder of my term. My very first decision as the party nominee in 2020 was to pick Kamala Harris as my vice president, and has been my best decision I've made. Today, I want to offer my full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee of our party this year. Democrats, it's time to come together, beat Trump. Let's do this."
You know he didn't write that shit.
Exactly. That's
It's too coherent of a
ChatGPT.
statement.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely not.
ChatGPT right there.
Chat GPT wrote that.
Well, yeah, and just because he says I endorse her does not mean that she's the elected candidate for the Democrats.
Right, the Democrats
either,
still got to
so-
select her and shit,
Yeah,
right?
it has to be a
Yeah.
vote on it, which, I mean, it depends on who's voting on. There's another big controversy about that right now going on, too.
Yeah,
how
I mean,
they're selecting the candidate for.
I feel like it's really bad that he. I mean, it's good that he's dropping out. Period. But
at this point in the race,
it's so late.
4
Yeah,
months.
it's so fucked.
you
4
just
months.
handed the election to Trump right there, dude. Like it was already going that way. The debate was like a knockdown punch. Getting the assassination attempt was like the fucking coup de grace, in my opinion, because it just made Trump look really. The way he handled it, he looked really fucking strong.
Took it like a G.
Yeah,
He looked really fucking strong.
The pictures go hard
getting
as
shot,
fuck.
and then fools are getting this tattooed right now. Like,
Yeah, he took it like a G.
like yo, like I can't
It's
even
an
knock
iconic
it.
photo.
I'm
for
not.
sure.
I'm not a Trump fan. I'm not a fucking Biden fan. I'm in the middle. But like Trump looked like a fucking gangster walking off the stage right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
He kind of did, bro.
the
Like,
the Secret Service fucked up.
They were
dude. They were
extremely
doing
incompetent.
yeah.
super fucking bad. That's
You
embarrassing.
got the lady on stage
They're
doing
not-
this and trying to fumble with her gun and shit. Like that's
Well,
not
she
what you
was,
need
like-
from a Secret
she
Service
was
agent
hiding.
in that
Not
kind of a
even-
situation. You need Secret Service at like a high ready, like eyes scanning the crowd looking for a fucking shooter and shit.
The
Not
fact they let him
jumping
pop
on the
his head
president
back up is
immediately.
insane.
Like what the fuck
Well,
were they
they're-
doing?
They're all like
What
fucking.
the fuck were they
they're not
doing,
real
dude?
Secret Service agents, those people, man.
My homies,
Up-
I got
allegedly.
homies in AZ
Allegedly.
that are more trained
But-
with firearms than how they were
Literally.
fucking behaving.
You
yeah.
know, you need a
The
who-
fuck?
Do you think if he passed out or was
You
knocked
are.
out unconscious, that
100%.
one of those women could drag him off the
2-second
stage
draw,
like
nigga.
that?
What's up?
Dude, yeah. My
He's
parents.
way too big. He's
my-
way too big. There's no way that they could fucking like protect him like that.
Yeah.
He's a giant. They needed large people right there. to
Yeah,
drag his
how
ass
do you
off the
have
stage.
Secret Service agents that are shorter than this fool?
Well, he's like
That are-
6'3" though.
They're
6'3".
covering his body. You got two girls in the front like this that aren't even covering this fool's head. Why is his head still exposed?
Good question.
Oh, they did a horrible
What the
fucking
fuck
job.
is that?
Yeah, everything was horrible about that.
That was really
situation.
bad.
If you go back to the
bad.
Reagan assassination attempt, them
You don't
fools
see
back,
him again.
Them fools were on it.
I never looked at the footage and compared it.
It's
where he got
crazy
shot
how
in the chest?
fast the Secret Service
Literally-
rushed in. They subdued the fucking gunman. They fucking piled on Reagan. You didn't even see Reagan
And
after
just
like
Yeah,
2
shelled
seconds.
over him and
Yeah,
Moved him,
it was
yeah.
2 seconds. 2 seconds. They were on him. They were on the fucking gunman. Disarmed the fool. Put him in handcuffs. It was that quick.
Well, it's tough to say because I mean he is the commander in chief. He tells everybody what the fuck to. Well, he's not the.
Former
not now.
commander-in-chief.
Yeah, former.
If that guy tells you to don't, you're not fucking rushing me off. What are you gonna do?
You.
Nah,
they-
I don't give a fuck. That's
they're
what you're
not-
trained to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is my job.
You're
Yeah.
not.
Thank me later.
True,
You're trained by the government to fucking protect these
but
people
that was
with their lives.
He knew that if he could have got shot right there, or if he was dying in the moment, he didn't know.
And they probably all knew the shooter was down too at that point.
Possibly.
When
But
they removed
still,
him
what
from
if
the
there
scene.
were?
There
a
could have been a second shooter.
Yeah.
Could have
They
been a
all
second
got
shooter.
They got comms going on.
Yeah.
My other issue with that
But
assassination
there could be a second
attempt
shooter. That's a good point.
is how the fuck did they allow this dude to get that fucking close to
There's a
begin
video
with?
of people watching him climb the roof.
He
and
has
they're
a gun.
Like,
He
what
has
the
a
fuck?
gun.
Yeah.
Oh, they knew for an hour that he was out there.
Yeah. What the fuck was
For an
that?
hour.
Crazy.
He was a security risk from the time he entered the place because he walked in with the rangefinder. And then he hid his rifle in there. He brought in a fucking ladder. He brought in a fucking
We don't need
ladder
to do anything
to
about that.
climb the building where they're stationed in, where all the police are stationed in.
That shit
Like,
was
what the
Crazy.
fuck?
That's
All the
so
cops are in there.
embarrassing.
Like, is this real
They
life?
were in the building.
This
They
is
were
like
in
a-
the building that he climbed.
This is like some fucking Manchurian Candidate movie, fucking hitman
This was on
shit, bro.
purpose.
Like, it's
The
crazy.
audacity.
It's wild. It's wild, dude. It makes me feel like, dude, like, is this real life?
And
Do you
then
feel
like
like-
150
Was
yard
this was
shot.
this fabricated? Like,
Do you think it was a conspiracy?
is it a conspiracy? Who would have did it? Would the Democrats have done it? Would the CIA have done it? Would
Do you
fucking
think
Trump
that it's,
himself
what do
done
you
it?
think is more likely?
Like-
Do you think that it's more likely that it's like incompetence on the part of the
Secret Service?
Service, and basically they're just like hiring people that really ain't good at their job, or they put like their shitty Secret Service agents on Trump detail on purpose, or not on
Most
purpose, but on
definitely.
accident, because the main ones are busy protecting Biden? Or do you think that it was like, okay, well, we're gonna make this happen and we're gonna get rid of Trump?
Bro, there's too many coincidences with this situation to me in order for it
So
to be
much
seen
weird
as an
shit.
accident, bro.
This kid's 20
And
years
I
old.
don't want to say who did it because I
A
don't.
20-year-old
know who
kid
did.
should not be able to get a lick off in that situation.
Nah, not at all. Not
He
at
has
all.
3 overseas encrypted Bitcoin accounts as a 20-year-old. Why the fuck would he have that?
Yeah.
Why the fuck would this kid have that? That makes
And where's
no
the
sense.
body?
He don't
Where's
know
the
shit about
body?
that.
They didn't
You
show
know?
no pictures of the body.
No,
Where's
I've
the
seen.
body?
I saw the picture of the body.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got his shit ripped open.
All right.
All split all the way across.
What is? You saw his face.
Yeah. yeah.
If this
Alright.
was
Got his
gonna
shit ripped
be
open.
like, I mean, there's 2 ways to think of it. If it is some type of conspiracy, was it specifically a miss, or was it, you know, intentionally
That's what-
supposed to be
It's
an
really hard to
assassination?
shoot somebody in the ear.
Like that was a
on
real
purpose.
bullet.
Yeah, that's impossible.
So,
It's really hard to shoot somebody in the ear on
150
purpose.
yards out, and you're hitting a half-inch fucking target.
I'm.
No, he was.
The
going
only
for
way
the
I could
head.
see that happening is like if it was like a little blood pack behind the ear or something. If it was
There's a
conspiracy on
video.
Trump's side,
There's a video of the bullet
What do
going
you?
through
What do
his
you
ear.
guys would have think
You
would
can
have
see it
happened?
going through his ear.
I haven't looked at a
So
close up.
let's
Yeah.
say say he
Yeah, you
did
see his
get.
ear split open.
Let's say
yeah.
he did get murdered though. What do you think would have happened to the state of the fucking union right now?
Civil War.
Civil War.
That is a
Civil War.
rough question.
it would have been
Crazy.
crazy.
That's what they want. They
It's-
want civil war. They've been pushing for it for so long. That's what would have set it off. They would have looked at the fucking.
And at the latest, it
at
would have
Biden
been
as no.
Biden getting reelected, and then it would have just jumped off.
Oh, it would have been insane. Yeah,
It would have been crazy.
It would've
I think
been
it would have
really
jumped
bad.
off, dude.
it would have been awful. It would have been an awful thing because a lot of Americans would have died, and it would have been horrible for our country.
100%.
Just all the way around, it would have been horrible. More people are going to die at that point, and that's terrifying.
I agree. That's a real possibility of what would have happened
Yeah.
if he had actually died that
I'm
day.
really glad he didn't get killed. You know, like,
Yeah.
I think it's wild too that like we live in a world where people like hate politicians so much that
they
people
want them to be
people
assassinated.
wanted him to be murdered. And I'm
Lots
like,
of
like,
people
I
did.
get
That's
that you
insane.
disagree with
Lots.
someone's politics and like it might have an effect on your personal life and like you actually really don't like these fools, you know, for whatever reason, abortion or fucking, you know, the border policies or whatever the
It's
fuck.
crazy that they hate that
But
much.
like, does someone really deserve to
I
be
mean,
murdered for that?
There
I
has
don't
to be a
think so.
line, though. I'm not saying necessarily with Donald Trump, but there's, you know, places with like fucking dictators and shit, and it's
We're
like,
not
well,
talking
they
about. We're talking about America, though.
No, I know, but I'm
Here.
saying like there's definitely a line. Like you can't be like, oh, you know, no politician should be killed because there's some evil fucking people out there.
I'm aware of that. I'm just talking about in America. I feel
Yeah,
like
but
Donald Trump.
there's an overabundance of those type of people that want somebody to be dead. Which I mean, even if you think about your
That's what I'm
enemies that
saying.
you have in real life, how many of you
There are
really
people
want
on
your
TikTok-
enemies to be murdered?
There are people on TikTok
I mean,
screaming like,
that.
"You missed."
I don't know what people have done to you guys, but people,
People on
are like, I
TikTok-
wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. I'm like,
People on
You know?
TikTok are
That's
screaming,
crazy.
"You missed!
I
How did
would.
you miss?" I'm
Not to
like,
sound
"Yo,
like Kanye, but-
does he really deserve to be murdered for his political views?"
insane.
And in my opinion, is this too like fucking. It doesn't matter if he wins or loses. Within 4 years, he won't be president anymore. So why does he have to be murdered for that shit?
They think that he's going to start.
That's
a fucking
entirely
another world
too
war
much, dude.
That we're already trying to be forced into.
It's entirely
that he
too
fucking
much.
pushed us out of. Like it doesn't make sense. All the projection that
Biden doesn't
the
deserve to
Democrats
be
are pushing on
murdered.
him.
Trump don't deserve to be murdered, bro.
no, neither of them.
Nah, neither of them, in
Neither
my
of 'em.
opinion. Yeah, I mean,
That shit's crazy, bro.
Yeah, I don't think that he should, but I mean, I've seen plenty of people commenting on my fucking videos, being like, "God, I wish that it had happened."
That's
Type
insane.
thing.
I hate
Which
that
is
people
kinda
think
crazy.
that
that's
way,
whack
dude.
because
I
people
think
ain't
that's
understanding the
crazy.
ramifications of what that would have meant, like you guys were just
Yeah.
talking about.
It's
Like, more
crazy
people
that
are
people
gonna
think
die.
that way.
just
dude.
him not being
It's fucked up.
elected or there being a suspicion of like election fraud or whatever the fuck in the last election, that was enough for them to raid the Capitol fucking building or whatever
Yeah.
the fuck.
Yeah,
right? So,
Jesus, yeah.
So if he
imagine.
had gotten
Well,
shot in the fucking face.
that
That's
would've
not
been
a good thing to wish for
crazy.
in terms of
you know,
what's
Trump
going
camp
on.
is immediately gonna go. The Democrats did it.
Yeah.
We gotta fucking stop
It's a
this
sticky
shit.
situation we're in as Americans, and I feel like you know, I personally think out of the two candidates, Trump was the better pick. Now that Biden's dropped out, we'll see who they replace him with, and that might change. But I personally think Trump was the better pick, and I think that a lot of people agree with me because everybody's just fed up with the way shit's going and see Biden as incompetent as a president. But there are some people that support Trump so wholeheartedly that it's almost becoming like
tribalism,
fanatic.
dude.
It's becoming very fanatic.
It's like
And
a
I think
cult.
that one of the dangerous things about
Sycophants,
this,
you know, they're sycophants.
One of the dangerous things about this is that when you get a president that was almost assassinated and everybody rallies behind him to a level to where they become blind to any flaws or faults that president has, this is a dangerous situation where it could, if Trump were so inclined to abuse that power, he probably could very heavily. So
and get all fucking Darth Sidious on him.
The
tip of my life has left me scarred.
I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm probably going to vote for Trump. It depends on who they choose as the replacement for Biden, but I'm probably going to vote for Trump. I'm just going to put that out there.
But again, like
to support him to that level, to where it's like we're going to fucking go really hard and I'll die for this person.
We will reform the republic into the first galactic empire.
And there are some people out there that feel that way about it, especially now. There are some people out there
are coming after him on the left side of the spectrum, you know, coming after him like that. War, lawfare, fucking, you know, bad publicity, this and that. It's so fucking insane on how polarized it is against him. And to say that he's going to do it back to them when they're doing it to him, he's never done that when he was in presidency already.
Who? What do you mean?
Trump.
Go back at him. What do you mean?
Like he's going to go retroactively and attack people with the Department of Justice or something like that.
He's going to go after all the people that put all the charges on him and all that type of shit?
All this shit. You know, who's going to say
that's a little retaliatory, and that's not necessarily a good thing either.
Yeah, he didn't do it the first time. You know, why are they saying that now when they're doing that to him fully? It's insane. It makes no sense. It's just a lot of projection on the other side that I see. And I don't think that,
I thought you were saying that he said that he was going to go after all the people that fucking put charges on him.
No. Well, I mean, I hope if
I'm not
they
sure if
did something illegal, then yes, I hope they do.
That's a good point.
You know, if
I
it's
could get
illegal,
behind that. If it's illegal, then yeah, absolutely.
I
pull the covers on
that.
Yeah,
but,
pull the covers on all them motherfuckers.
If he's trying to pull some illegal shit like they're trying to do to him, just throwing 100 fucking felony
just vindictive,
charges at him,
I don't
make no fucking
that ain't
sense.
cool. Yeah,
I don't vote, but in my opinion, dropping out of the race, back to Biden, dropping out of the race at this point, you just handed the election to Trump. 100%.
It's so soon.
There's no one else that you can replace somebody with
Yeah.
that can make their case strong enough in that amount of time to convince.
we can't familiarize ourselves with somebody that quickly, is what you're saying.
Exactly. We can't convince 51% of the population to vote for someone in this short amount of time.
Excellent point. I agree, but I'll play devil's advocate on it.
That's why they're pushing Kamala. Kamala probably will be endorsed.
Then it's definitely Trump's winning,
and it's gonna be Trump.
Then definitely Trump's winning.
That's my prediction.
Devil's advocate on it. If they choose somebody else, even if we can't get familiar with a new candidate in this short of an amount of time, I feel like there are a lot of people out there that are still on the I'm voting for this person because it's not Trump train.
Yeah,
right?
Or I mean,
so that's
vote
still
blue
possible.
No matter who. That's all they say.
But I don't think I don't think there'll be
possible.
enough of them.
I agree with that.
Based on the dropout,
lose.
based on the assassination attempt, based on the debate. Now, what might help is if they have a second debate at this point with the new candidate, which I think I hope they do.
Yeah,
because
really
we would really
should.
need to hear,
their
the new
Whoever has to
person's
say.
We need to hear
fucking
somebody smart
standpoint.
talking
That might
and
help.
opposing Trump's viewpoints, if they even oppose at all. I mean,
that might help, but like I just don't see it. You know, in my mind, the math ain't mathing with like the probability of a new Democratic.
a lot of people are talking Robert F. Kennedy. I don't know
I
if
mean,
he's
that-
independent or if he's possibly gonna be able to go Democratic. Because I mean, it's possible that he might just go with the Democratic Party just simply because of their resources in terms of campaigning, like financial resources.
What
He
do
might
you
be like, you know
mean?
what, I'm not.
Democratic Party's broke as fuck. We keep getting commercials every 5 minutes with Obama saying $5 can
Really?
help this.
I haven't seen him.
You
I
can
don't
help the
watch TV like
Democratic
that.
Party. It's
get
all
it on
over YouTube,
Oh,
dude.
what the
I get
fuck?
it
Do
on
you just
YouTube
donate
also.
Really?
$5 to the Biden?
They must know
Kamala
that I ain't giving no money to
campaign?
him because they don't ever advertise that shit to me.
Bro, it's all over the fucking place, dude.
They do it to annoy me, I think.
I see
they
it
just
every
want me
fucking
to
day,
buy their
like
YouTube
3, 4,
Premium,
5
I'm just like,
times
no, I
a
ain't
day.
doing it.
They do it to annoy you into buying you.
Like, I'm not giving
That's
y'all
a fucking
shit.
crazy
Literally.
idea right there. That's a weird
they
scam.
do it
I
all the
never
time,
got my
bro.
stimulus check. Well, I'm gonna give you $5 for it.
You know?
I ain't get shit.
Yeah.
Fuck y'all.
It's crazy. I don't think they're going to be able to find a candidate to compete in that short of a time.
I don't think so. At this point, with the assassination attempts,
He looks very strong.
yeah, exactly.
Too strong for anybody to just jump
He
in.
looks like the Teflon Don.
All right, what do we know about
Pun
his? What do we
intended.
know about his vice president pick his
J.D.
running mate.
Vance?
I don't know
I
shit
don't know
about
anything about that
Fool.
person.
Anybody know that dude?
I've slightly researched him a little bit.
Wait, Donald Trump picked somebody?
Yeah,
J.D.
Vance. Some
just,
Vance
just announced it within the last
motherfucker.
like week or something.
Yeah.
I have no fucking idea.
And
who
I
that
guess
is.
like
Me neither.
back in 2016 or something like that, when he was running for presidency or something like that, he was talking a lot of shit about Trump, which is crazy. And then he
I did hear that.
he
He completely
backtracked on it.
opposed
I don't think
dude's
Trump
views.
really takes shit like that personally, though.
No, and once he understood his agenda and everything, obviously
He jumped on the Trump train.
politics and hearing just rhetoric about him,
And hearing that
everybody
you could
was
be
hating
vice
him.
president of the United States
Yeah,
also
exactly.
helps
I
quite
really-
a bit.
Yeah, I like that
Facts,
title.
but-
Yeah.
But he retracted
If
his
I can
comments
get in any
years
way I
ago.
can,
It
that's
wasn't
possible.
something that was recent that he retracted his comments. He apologized about it and stuff like that. But still, I'm on the fence with that guy. I don't trust him.
I don't like a switchy
'Cause
switcher.
I don't trust him.
I don't like a flip flopper.
I think
Yeah,
he's out
exactly.
for. I think if-
exactly.
Just
The
based off of
flip-flopping fucking.
Yeah.
I give you respect for changing your point of view,
But
but
stand behind your shit.
if you don't
stand
have a
behind
moral
your words
compass
and
to
your
make the right
convictions.
decision the
It's-
first fucking time,
It's
Yeah.
a
I don't trust you.
self-preservation move because he's like, if I switch and get on the Trump train and I become vice president, this fool's only got one more fucking term left anyway. Which
And he's
puts-
old as fuck, and
which-
he might die, and I might be the president.
And then no, but this puts me in a fucking it boosts my fucking platform for my re-election as the next president though.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Because how often does that happen that a vice president
Pretty
then
often.
runs
Yeah, pretty
for
often.
a president? That
Yeah.
happens.
They don't win all the time.
They
but
don't win,
they
but
run
it
often,
happens.
and sometimes they do win.
Yeah.
You know?
So
Al Gore tried.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe Biden was a vice president.
Biden
not
was at
right
some point.
after Obama's term, but
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
he could have been playing a long game. Like, let me just jump on the Trump
That's why I
train.
don't like politicians, man.
Let me jump on the Trump
Their
train,
only
and then
job,
I can fucking run
a
for
politician's
president.
only job is to get elected. That's their job.
Yeah. Say
Not-
anything to get elected.
Just get elected. That's their
Yeah.
only job.
Yeah, within their party. You say
It's like when
anything
you're
they want to
filling
hear.
out an application, you're like, yeah, Harvard
You
law
know
degree.
what might
I'd rather
make
you never
me
did that.
what might make me want to vote for a Democratic Party, I would say, is if there was another debate and all the questions that were asked got a direct answer. Not
True.
some bullshit fucking misdirection. Let me just fucking circle jerk, stroke my own cock about the things that I did in my fucking presidency. Answer the fucking questions with a good, concise answer that makes fucking
Yeah.
sense.
That's
A
straightforward.
real plan.
That's
I
straightforward.
want a real plan from them.
A real plan that might actually change my mind. But until that point, I think Trump's our next president.
Yeah.
I think so too.
So
have you guys heard about the Project 2025 shit?
yeah,
What's that?
Stupid ass
I've never
shit.
heard of it.
They're
Jesus
saying that
Christ.
Republicans got like some big scheme cooped up to like
It's crazy.
go off on it.
I mean, I don't know like too
I honestly
much about
don't know
it.
about it because it's a Democratic,
It's a
Theory.
democratic conspiracy theory.
conspiracy theory.
Is it actually just a conspiracy theory? I thought this was something that was like
Yeah.
drafted and.
No,
It's
it's
got,
a
Not
like-
conspiracy
really,
theory.
dude.
What is
Are
it?
you sure?
Sum it up.
I honestly have no fucking idea. It's just weird fucking
It's
shit.
just hearsay about like
It's
what
like
they
ultra
think,
conservative
how the
thought process.
how the
and
conservatives
shit
want to
that,
like
you know?
change everything, like, and like Roe v. Wade was like the beginning of it, and like, you know, just trying to fucking return America to traditional Christian
Yeah,
fucking values. And
That's
shit.
why I disagree
like,
with
hella
Republicans.
conservative.
I'm mostly conservative, but that's where they lose me is on the fucking. I'm pro-choice, so on abortion rights and
I would agree.
on separation of church and state. I'm just not about
Yeah.
any religion being in
getting-
politics whatsoever.
I would agree with you. Like, I'm very pro-gun. I'm very pro fucking
Minimal
strong
taxes,
borders,
stay the
minimal
fuck out of my
taxes.
life.
But
Yeah.
I'm very fucking pro-abortion. I'm very fucking pro-gay rights and shit.
Yeah,
you
I'm
know?
pro-individual choice.
You know,
is what I am.
Yeah,
that's why I
exactly.
don't vote, because I'm like, I'm in the middle on all this shit, dude. Like,
Me too. And they call
tough.
us libertarians. Apparently,
So-
somebody told me
Yeah.
that. Well, you're a libertarian. I don't know what the fuck that means, but probably not. I don't know.
You know.
I
I'm not
honestly
gonna label
probably
myself
side
as
more with
anything.
that, too,
If I have
Joe.
to give
I'm
up,
not gonna label
if
myself
I
as
have to
anything.
give up my guns, I'll label myself a conservative because I'm not giving
There you
up
go.
my straps.
I just
So-
feel like labeling yourself like to align with a specific party means that it implies that there's pressure on you to agree with everything that they fucking
No,
sure.
for sure.
that they
I
have
feel,
going
and
on.
I don't agree.
And I
with
don't.
everything.
I'm
You
gonna
have to be able to
individually
call
choose
it.
on every single
Every
topic.
topic.
I feel like people
Every
who
fucking
don't.
topic.
I feel like people who don't critically think about every single issue and just side one way or the other are fucking stupid. Like,
Yeah.
genuinely.
They just
Well,
choose tribe. Most people choose tribalism.
I wouldn't say they're all
Yeah.
stupid, but
I mean, if you're 100% one way or the other,
I would
that's
like to use
fucking
the word
weird.
lazy instead.
I just don't
Yeah.
like. I just don't
Lazy.
like how
No.
people
Lazy.
demonize each other's
I'd say
parties
both.
based on, you know, because just because you choose to be a Democrat or choose to be a Republican, you shouldn't demonize that person based on their fucking political standpoint.
No, there's spectrums to it.
You know,
Yeah,
and
true.
there's reasons why they
Not
fall
everything's
in those
black and white.
categories.
It's nuanced.
And even people that are Democrats or Republicans, there's probably things on the other side that they agree with, but they just can't talk about it publicly.
Yep, and that's part of the problem with the bipartisan system is
that's whack.
It really
you get a candidate that has to basically agree with everything that their party fucking agrees with, or everything their party fucking agrees with. And now, what do you call it? The individualism is taken out of it, and it becomes a group think.
It's tribalism.
I feel like it gets more
Tribalism.
extreme too because of that.
So,
like it gets
And
more
this
extreme
is
heading
maybe
in each direction.
this is the most extreme it's been in any modern times.
100%.
Yeah,
And that is a dangerous thing for the country because it's us against them when really it's
We're
us.
all together.
It's us.
Right. It's
There's
us.
just
There
a
is
small
no
amount
them.
of people on the
There is no
earth,
them.
you know? We're all
I mean,
together.
the them is honestly technically the government. It should be us against the
That's
motherfucking
some
government.
real shit, actually.
True.
That's a good fucking
You know,
point.
but when you have everyone blind, and then it makes this a us against us thing, and it distracts us from like what's really going on.
The
And
illusion
we
of
can't
them.
really make real change because we're too busy bickering amongst each other
Over stupid shit.
Stupid
It's crazy.
shit. When like we're all fucking Americans, we all want the same shit. We just like have different viewpoints on certain things. Some people want to call the police, and some people want to fucking pull the straps themselves. You feel me? But, like, it's different. It's different strokes, different folks, but we're all still Americans at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And we
All
all love this.
family.
We all should love this country because I do. As much shit as I talk about this, but I fucking love America. Like there's like hella opportunities to fucking.
Yeah, part of the reason why I do love this
become the
country is because I
fucking
can talk
man,
shit
dude.
about it.
You know, 100%, 100%. We live in the greatest nation in the world. I don't care what anybody has to say, you know. But you know, the bullshit on both sides really should come to an end. Dude.
I
It's
personally,
fucking stupid.
I blame social media
It's like
for a lot of that
Bloods and
shit.
Crips,
The
bro, for
polarization,
sure.
I blame social media.
yeah.
Media.
It's like
I blame the
political.
media.
The
it's-
news, the mainstream media,
Yeah,
social
mainstream
media,
media.
it's real fucking crazy in terms of polarization. And you see people talking to each other in a way that they wouldn't talk in real life.
100%. They get real aggressive
All the fucking
dude.
time they get real
yeah.
aggressive, and then
Yeah,
that breeds
real
more aggression,
aggressive.
and it all just fucking like kind of
And
what
then
do you
get
call
them in
it?
That's
groups
super
and
true.
shit,
It builds up.
you know, and then all of a sudden these groups are fucking clashing, and it's like, you know, if you just had one person from that group, one person in this group, actually talk to each other like normal fucking
You'll
people.
find middle
they wouldn't-
ground.
They
Yeah.
wouldn't sit there and act like that, you know.
You'll
It's
find middle
just-
ground and you'll
it
talk to
gets-
each
again,
other
it gets
with
tribalistic
respect.
like that, you know.
You
We're
know,
fucking-
so you probably wouldn't find middle ground as far as like abortion goes, because like people who are pro-abortion, people who are anti-abortion, they're very fucking like, this is what it is.
Even that has nuances to it though, because then you start thinking about when is it ethical for an abortion? Is it we talk about during the first trimester, second trimester, whatever the
Yeah.
fuck? We talking about like situations where people got raped, or you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of different nuances to that whole
Yeah,
situation that
but-
makes it real hard to just be like I'm pro-choice or I'm not
A lot of
pro-choice.
fools are very extremist about that specific. About that.
They
specific
are.
subject,
They hold up the
though.
signs and picket and harass people that are doing whatever the fuck they want to do
Yeah.
with their body. And
100%.
personally, I feel like women should be able to make that choice.
That
I
shit makes
agree,
me
dude.
so mad, dude. I went to the gym and somebody had some like whack ass stickers on their car, and I'm like, should I key this car? Like that shit makes
For
me aggressive.
For me,
like
I'm very pro-abortion.
I love that you say
so-
pro-abortion and not pro-choice.
Yeah,
Fuck,
like,
dude.
abort all the fucking babies.
Yeah, mandatory
You want
abortion.
me to get real
Less-
gully? I'm
less
I'm
stupid
pro baby
humans.
murder, dude. I'm about it.
Oh God.
Because
Oh God.
I don't like I said. Just
I'll
'cause
drink to that.
Just because I'm
Cheers.
pro-choice, I'm not gonna fucking like not say it's not killing a baby. It's fucking killing a baby. I really don't.
No,
give
it
a shit.
is.
But
Yeah.
should the woman have the right to kill that baby? Fuck yeah.
But,
I'm not
you
gonna
know.
call it a fetus, and I'm not gonna call it a collection of cells. It's a fucking kid, but fuck that kid though. Like that's the woman's body. She has the right
I believe
to choose.
you ain't got no skin in the game.
Yeah.
You know, just keep your mouth shut.
That's what I'm
you
saying.
know, But
Yeah,
like-
true. If you ain't got no skin in the game, keep your fucking mouth shut.
just-
That's the simplest
it's
way to
She
say
has the
it.
so-
right, she has the right to fucking choose what she want to fucking do. I don't really give a shit one
Yep.
way or another.
It's her life. It's her body. That shit
100%.
permanently changes you. It's a financial
100%.
obligation. It's a fucking 18-year obligation.
That's a lot of shit.
That's a lot of shit. And some people cannot handle that, and it's okay for them to recognize that and make a decision.
So
up to a certain point, I believe.
I had a
believe,
point
you know,
I was gonna.
Once
make,
it's a
but
viable
I lost
human,
it.
then I'm like,
And of course, you
could
could put the baby up for adoption.
The point I was gonna make was this: I am pro-abortion. However, I do have my own like line in the sand. For me, it's like a 9-month carry. I think that's unethical.
It would be really weird to kill a viable pregnancy.
It's
That's
unnatural.
weird, but
I
like
think that
who
comes
would do
before 9
that?
months.
Yeah, who would
Yeah,
get
it's
that
the first
far in
trimester.
and then go, never mind. Like
I'm
unless there's
sure
a
some
serious
people do, but they're in
medical
the serious
issue.
minority.
That's
yeah.
where I draw.
Serious
That's
minority.
where my line is drawn. Is where if that baby can live in an incubator at that
Yep.
point.
Yeah, then maybe not.
It feels
Shouldn't be
wrong
allowed.
to me.
Then it feels dumb.
But
It's like,
other
why don't
than
you just
that-
do a C-section instead of
Yeah.
an abortion? Similarly invasive, right?
Other than that, kill that motherfucker. I don't care if it has a heartbeat. I don't give a shit, bro. I don't care, bro. I really don't, dude.
It's so it's so weird. Like, what does random people that you see at the grocery store, what does them having a fucking baby or not have to do with you? Like, literally nothing. Like, I think it's so weird to just care that much and be like that much into other people's
most people that care about it that much are really, really into religion, and separation of church and state is like in our fucking constitution.
Yeah, seriously, the way that things have gotten so like radically Christian is literally so fundamentally un-American.
But at the same
And I
time,
love to say that.
I was about to say
I love
America
to
was
say that.
built on as a shining hill on a fucking you digs and shit. What are you
Yes.
talking about?
Look,
What do you mean?
America
It's
was
actually-
built
it's
on
less-
Christian values. We only came here
it's less radically
as
Christian
Puritans
now than it ever has
so
been.
we
probably.
could fucking be Christian in peace.
No, so we could have peace of choosing religion
Nah.
or freedom from
Nah.
it.
I don't think so. It was
America
straight up
started
That's what
off
it
as
says.
a Puritan Christian fucking society. That's what it started from the beginning.
one nation under God. With liberty and
Yes,
justice
it was
for
Christian
all.
as a motherfucker. It
Well,
became
when people
to the
first
point.
started coming over
When they were
here,
talking
but
about-
when they drafted the government, they explicitly said,
Yes.
we do not, this is not a
Freedom of religion.
religious establishment. We're
That's,
not
that's
governing
great,
with
but my
Agreed.
point
religion.
is the foundation of this country rests
people
in
that originally
Puritan,
came over here?
Christian, clean, white Christian American value.
I agree, and I feel like it has certainly lulled, and like they made it right by writing up the Constitution and shit to make it so anybody can have whatever religion they want. But really,
But that's not how it started.
the root of it was we're just going to be a different type of Christian over here, and
we're
we
gonna
don't
do
want to be
whatever the fuck we
persecuted.
wanna
We don't want to
do,
be persecuted by the
and
Church
we
of
don't
England,
want them to tell us
essentially.
what the fuck to do. They don't.
I
They
thought
can't
it
tell
was-
us shit.
I thought it was over taxes.
No, it was
when we
Puritanism,
separated
dude.
from
Well, like, why
Yeah,
people got
largely
sent
it was.
over
That's why-
here?
Largely it was.
The government.
But the reason they
The Tea
actually
Party
came over
and
here in the
shit?
beginning wasn't because of
Yeah,
taxes.
the reason why
see
the
that.
That was why
colonies,
we became a
Whether you
nation.
the
established
colonies got
colonies.
established because of Puritanism.
Yes.
The government got established because of taxes.
Yes.
Because of the government, the fucking England's
And they
English
did the right
taxes
thing
and
by
shit.
writing the right verbiage in there for anybody to have whatever religion they want. But as far as like Christianity having such a like, what do you call it? A finger so deep in our politics, I feel like
It's
these
got a
days it's
finger up
actually
our asshole.
it's much less these
It
days
did.
than it was in the past. It
had
already
a-
did
it
back in
had
the
a
day.
thumb up the asshole of America from the start.
Do you think
Yeah.
they anticipated like the
But it's coming back, so I see your
religion
point, Nicole.
like that? Do you think that they wrote that in there, anticipating religion was going to eventually die out or slow down? And that
No,
kind of
I think they
life
realized
and
that there
politics?
needed to be a division between church and state.
Yep, for
Or
things to operate effectively because they become corrupt if church controls government.
Exactly. I think they realized that because that's what was happening in England and then fucking all of Europe throughout all time because everyone had to bend the knee to the fucking Pope.
Yep.
And they didn't want that kind of shit to happen in America.
But what they did want is for their flavor of Christianity to be the prevalent one of the country. They just realized, in my opinion,
keep it quiet.
Let's just give them actually the benefit of a doubt, and let's just, in my opinion, I would assume that they thought about it from a perspective of, okay, we came over here to avoid religious persecution, and to prevent that from happening in the future, we're just going to go ahead and let's not be hypocrites, and let's go ahead and just let anybody worship whatever the fuck they want. But they didn't really anticipate. Really, they
didn't
wanted
know
everybody
what
to be
was
Christian.
gonna happen,
They didn't
though.
realize we were going to be so diverse, right?
They didn't realize that.
If
though.
they had, they might have wrote those laws
I
differently.
think it was supposed to be like an unwritten thing. Like this is always gonna be a white.
This is always gonna be a white
God-fearing
Christian country
fucking
and shit.
Christian country. That's fucking all we're gonna do is own niggers and fucking have Chinese people build the railroads and
Quite possibly.
shit like that.
Yeah.
And that's how it was
They couldn't
gonna
have
be.
foreseen what was happening right now.
Oh,
No.
Not at all.
No, but like writing certain things in there with the anticipation of the backlash from the other side of it.
They wrote it properly in terms of principle.
Yeah.
I like to believe in the founding fathers in terms of them choosing very carefully the verbiage in that
Yeah.
document in the Constitution.
Yeah.
that made it to where they were like, okay,
We hold
if we're gonna
these
make it fair,
truths to be self-evident.
if we're gonna make it fair for us,
All
then
men.
let's go ahead and just take that all the way and make it fair all the way across the board conceptually
Are
in
created
terms of
equal.
principle.
Yeah.
I personally feel like that was the intention.
Yeah.
But I don't think they realized that we were going to be so far removed from their original religion at this point
yeah.
in terms of its prevalence in this country.
All men are created equal.
Except the blacks.
Now go downstairs and make me a sandwich, nigga.
Except for the Chinese.
And tell your wife to come upstairs. I gotta talk to her.
Did you know that the Chinese were the only racial group that's ever been completely barred from entering the nation and emigrating here? Ever.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was,
was
like
illegal
in the 18
in the 1800s.
somethings.
It was in the 1800s.
They
I think.
could. They were
They
trying to
said
pass an
no
exclusion.
Chinese people can. Yeah,
They were trying to pass an exclusion act.
Yeah, there was an exclusion. Actually, they did.
Well, it was the
And
same
the
over
Chinese
there,
people
too,
started
wasn't
coming
it?
in through Mexico.
Yeah.
And when they did that shit, so many of them stayed in Mexico. That's why you got so many fucking chinos down there. Is because some of them liked it so much in Mexico, they were like, let's stay here.
Wasn't China like that though too? They didn't allow anybody.
They were isolationists for a very long time.
For thousands of years. They didn't.
So
allow
that actually
other-
might play into it too in terms of the political environment.
Yeah,
That's one thing in
exactly.
America is weird is we look at shit from like today's day and age like perspective, but we don't really consider like what was going on in that environment
Yeah,
and why they
there-
made the laws they did and all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
And it's strange because there's like this battle, right, in politics to where it's like, do we honor the old like principles or whatever, like the Constitution, and like carry those forward infinitely into the future, or do we have this thing that's like moving with the times and evolving and growing and changing and adapting or whatever? Changing and adapting it creates opportunity to fuck it up, but holding it to where it's like exactly the same way as it was in the beginning
Can
creates
also
the
fuck it
opportunity
up.
that can also fuck it up because it becomes antiquated.
I feel like it has to be a hybrid, but I feel like with religion specifically, I think seriously I think it's so wrong to make laws based on Christianity or use that as like any type of ruling thing openly
Absolutely.
in politics. I think that's fucked up.
Openly, absolutely.
That's crazy.
If the majority of people in a country are Christian and they want to vote for laws and legislation that coincide with their values, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's totally fucking fine. But for it to be open and blatant to where it's like the Bible says this and that's why we're doing it, to me that's
Hell
not
no.
fine.
Yeah, that's
I'm
not
not
cool.
cool with that. at all.
So if the people want that because the majority of the people belong to that religion, that's fine. But to enact it in law and be like, oh, well, because of this religion, this is the law for everybody.
Nah.
I don't know about that.
Well, people pick their politicians, you know.
I think I was about to say that. That's where it starts, is picking the right politicians.
Yeah.
In terms of whether or not to change the Constitution, I mean, we have amendments. We have a fucking shitload of them, right? So we've changed it before.
No
In terms of
alcohol.
changing it, though, and making it so that those changes are necessary and best for the majority of people, right? Because it can't be best for everybody. No law can be best for everybody.
No.
That has to be best for the majority, and that's
It's like a universal law, like murder is bad and shit like that.
It's bad for the murderers.
Yeah.
You got to think about them.
Oh, the poor.
Come on, man.
that opens up a whole new can of worms in terms of capital punishment and shit, though. You know, I mean, they're technically
fluid?
murdering too.
Murder fluid?
What's that? What do you mean?
What?
Like it's
I
a
don't know what that
spectrum? Like it's okay to murder?
Is murder fluid?
Like, no, I was just joking because he's like, you know, not everything can be good for everybody. It's
Identify
like
as a
murder's
I,
non-murderer.
bad.
I identify as a non-murderer. You know?
It's a tough thing, man. But I feel like electing the right people to be able to make those decisions in a moral way and a logical way, the combination of those two things, electing those officials, is really the cornerstone of making sure that any changes to the Constitution, they should probably be resisted the same way that they are in the scientific community. When a new theory comes out, that should be sent to all the peers. And everybody peer reviews it, and they fucking try to tear it down. And if it doesn't get torn down, then boom, this is the new truth.
That's
right?
why I don't think so. To circle back around to
That'd
the
be
original
so
point,
sick.
that's why I think that whole Project
It'll never
2025
happen.
shit
It'll never happen.
will never happen.
What's that?
Oh,
I fucking
I'm circling
hope not,
it back
bro.
around to the Project 2025 shit. You know,
I don't even know what that is anymore. I don't know what
We
that
just
is.
talked
never really
about it.
established
It's just
that.
like a return to Christian conservative values. That's
It's
why
like
it'll never
Handmaid's
happen
Tale.
because no one will. The majority of people will never agree to those kind of terms and conditions. I don't think that would ever happen. So that's why
if the
I
majority
really
of
do
people
think,
did, would that make it right?
Not necessarily.
Is-
I mean, you have.
I mean,
like,
if you have the freedom to leave the country still,
100%,
Then yes
I
and
guess
no,
that's
right?
okay.
I don't think that
Yes
makes it
and no.
right. But
it doesn't make it right, but it, you know, at least it gets
But it don't
you
make
an
it
out.
you have
wrong or
you
illegal.
have two types of right. You have
Where
like
has my
just
country
because the
gone?
majority of people, you have things are only right depending on where you are. You know what I'm saying in the world.
Hella, yeah.
So, you know, things that are
Yeah.
considered bad here might not be considered bad
Different
in
states are,
a
you know,
different
they're all
country.
different from each other as far as
So
legislation and stuff.
you
like
have to
that goes.
determine what is right based on your surroundings.
On
and
your
then,
cultural context.
Yeah, and
Well,
then
that's
based
the
on like
beauty of
the
America.
overarching.
We
So we have
full
emerging
spectrum.
cultural context.
We have a full spectrum of fucking left to right states, you know,
And then
can
you
pick
also-
where you want to live.
And then
True.
above
You can move
that,
to a whole other state, and
Yeah,
it's very
and
different.
You don't have to leave the country. You
above
know,
that,
but-
you also have just like the general human being moral standing of what is right and wrong. So you
Yeah.
have like two different things you have to compare, like the
Like balance 'em
geographical
out.
right and wrong, and then just the overall what do the
Basic human
majority-
rights, which they
basic
define
human
in the
rights.
Constitution, right?
Not the Constitution, just what everyone in the world generally
Universal
would
laws,
deem
you
as
know?
right or
Like,
wrong.
yeah.
So it's kind of hard to draw that line.
Majority morals.
So
Yeah, it's like morals, you know.
with
what I'm saying?
with what Matt said in mind in terms of like the states and the federal government and shit, like having different laws and different, like you can move to different states that have like political viewpoints or legislation that kind of more aligns with what you personally like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
what you want to raise your
Does
family.
does
in or
that
whatever,
mean that
if you
maybe
wanna
it's a
live.
good idea to have more power in the states' hands and less power in the federal government's hands?
Oh, for
Because that's
sure.
the way the country was originally founded, was
For
that it was
sure.
13 original colonies, and they could make their own laws, and there are federal laws, but those laws weren't necessarily the majority of legislation out there, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Do you
we're
think that's
already
still-
doing that.
What I'm asking is, do you think that's still feasible at that level? Because it was much more back in the day. The states had like a lot of freedom to make their own laws and shit.
Yeah.
Do you still think that's feasible in this day and age?
Yeah, 100%, fool.
It's tough.
100%.
I
Yeah,
think it's
we still do
possible,
that pretty
but it's real
widely.
tough. Well,
dude.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
with
don't
the
know,
weed
just-
shit,
well,
with the cannabis thing, that
with
happens.
It's still
guns,
Schedule
with
One.
abortion, with all the big issues.
Federally, it
It's
is.
still Schedule 1. You could still be prosecuted for that, but all the states,
Technically.
you know, yeah, you can.
I think with all
if they
our
want
biggest
to,
issues,
which
they're
I think that's
controlled on a
bullshit.
state level.
They should be.
All our biggest issues are controlled
They
on a
are.
state level
I,
right now.
I think that mostly
Right or
I
wrong?
agree that the states should have,
but that they do though.
almost
already.
like that they do already.
Yes, all our biggest
I-
issues are state controlled.
I think that on paper the federal government actually has more say so, but in application it seems the state does, and that's the example I'll use for that is cannabis, right? Like it seems the federal government just isn't doing a good job of catching up with the fucking times.
The federal
as far as
government
what's going
can
on.
knock your door down, but they probably won't.
But they probably won't, exactly. So there's a big difference between them having the shit outlawed and them enforcing it. And they don't have the resources to enforce it, and that's a good thing. I feel like personally it might even be able to scoot a little further to the state side to where it's like, just give us a little bit more power as states individually to do what the fuck we want. And that might be, for me, the ideal balance.
More
Yeah,
local
they don't even
control is
need to
best.
like say it's legal, but just to say, hey, this isn't like a federal issue anymore.
You
It
mean
is
federally
just up to your state.
decriminalized,
I believe
not
just
state decriminalization, but federal decriminalization? Is that what you're saying?
Just leave it up to the states.
Yeah, just
Why is it even
completely
a federal
leave it
law
up
to
to
begin
the
with?
Literally,
states.
if you're controlling a population and that population wants a certain law to be there, you
So
should
then that
abide by
means
it with
you
your
have
politicians
to-
within the state.
To get
Yeah,
rid
if
of
people want to smoke
like-
weed, they just move to a state that fucking has legal weed.
Literally, if you
What's
don't want people to be smoking weed and you think it still should be illegal,
So then
move
you
your
just
ass
have to
one
get
those
rid of the
states.
whole like federal schedule drugs and shit, essentially.
Not all of them. I mean, we're
The
just talking
federal
about
scheduled
weed.
drug laws would have to go across the
That's
board.
complicated though, because the federal government's probably what controls like drugs being imported and exported from the country, as far as like their enforcement on trying to intercept those things.
yeah, fentanyl and shit.
So
like
if you have it to where the federal government gives up all their fucking power, in
Dude, then we're
terms of
gonna end up
regulating
like
that or
Washington and
enforcing it,
Oregon.
Then we have a drug wave.
then you have a
That's
weird drug wave to where,
bad.
let's say like Arizona and New Mexico, right? Arizona doesn't want any drugs, but New Mexico does. Then all the drugs just come in.
They
through
come
New
in and
Mexico
then they go to Arizona.
So there has to be some federal shit kind of overseeing everything. In my opinion, now that we're talking it out and like thinking out loud and shit, maybe there does need to be some federal,
Some kind of federal draw the line where they draw the line. At.
yeah. But which one should supersede the other? Does federal,
Probably state. I feel like if the state says, all right, we're decriminalizing, psychedelics
But
or
if the
weed
s-
or whatever the fuck, then the fucking federal government should bend the knee to the state and be like, all right, we're not going to fuck with this
question
state.
on that though? If it is up to the state and it supersedes the federal government, then how does the federal government have any ability to enforce what we're just talking about as far as that situation with Arizona?
if it
and New
steps on
Mexico?
your constitutional rights, no. That's where the federal
That's where the
government
federal
comes in.
government should step in, is when it comes to constitutional rights for
Yeah.
sure.
Well,
That,
what's
we can
going
establish
on-
that for a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on with Oregon and Washington? Because they literally did do
They
that.
just decriminalize everything. But that's the thing. The federal government could still knock your door down if they want
If they want.
If they want
if
to.
They just don't have a reason
It's,
to
the
right
state's
now.
not going to come after you, but like say for example, you're growing like hella crazy shit in your crib. You got crazy grow house.
Trafficking, you're gonna cross state lines and shit. All of a sudden,
and
FBI
you get fucking flagged by the FBI or something or DA. They can come knock your door down if they feel like it. But like, why would they pick you in this state out of all the millions of people in America?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if the state's not after you and they haven't kicked it up to the
you say
fucking
the wrong
federal
fucking thing about the government, you know.
Well, let's take it to an extreme and let's talk about like if you had two states next to each other, right? Let's call them fucking Washington and Oregon. And Washington says we're gonna legalize cocaine, and Oregon says cocaine's illegal here. In Washington, they could just grow fucking like
coca leaves
and shit in mass like Colombia, right? And they could process it and smuggle it over to fucking Oregon. And Oregon now has the obligation to build up this huge
wall,
enforcing
essentially, and
fucking police
laws
force
and
and
shit.
spend all this
Yeah.
fucking money and shit just to prevent it from coming in from Washington. That's why the federal government is actually necessary to prevent that sort of thing. To where it's like now you're causing this other state that's neighboring you these unnecessary expenses to
But
enforce laws.
You could say
that
that's
contradict
already a
theirs or
thing.
whatever.
You could say that's already a thing in states where like weed
which
is
ones?
legalized, and
True,
and
it
like
is.
adjacent states where weed is not illegal.
That's why I took it to the extreme with the
and
cocaine
people
thing.
just fucking drive, to Chicago to go get weed and go back to Indiana or some
It's
shit.
like that with alcohol too.
You know,
Yeah.
back
You
in the day.
know, I know for a fact because people were doing that when fucking Cali legalized weed. They were going to Cali to go get weed and then drive it
yeah.
across
Oh,
state
fuck
lines
yeah,
and
they
shit.
We can take that point even further to support you, where even when weed was illegal in all states, motherfuckers would drive to Arizona to pick up pounds and drive them all the way out to
That's
fucking
what I'm
New York.
saying.
Yeah.
Even if it's illegal, that's going to happen.
Exactly.
So it's like, where's the
So-
balance? It's a very difficult question in terms
100%,
of how to handle all
100%.
that, you know?
So like, I don't think there's like any real like clear path forward on.
And I think
that
that's why
one.
we're still fucking up as far as the drug problem or the war on drugs.
I think it's easy to, my whole stance on drugs has always been this. It's been very liberal. Like fucking legalize it all, tax it all, so we have fucking way more income coming in, and then take a portion of that
Make
tax
money off of it.
take a portion of that tax money and teach people about drug abuse, create fucking
pretty good idea,
rehabs and
I
fucking
don't
detox
know.
clinics.
Well, I
Well,
thought
when you
about it
tell
too.
someone what they can't do, they run to it. But
had
if like
another
you have
theory
kids
about
growing up around
Have you
it,
seen, like, I was just in, like, Seattle and shit. I don't know if that's the fucking way, bro.
Legalizing meth is not the way.
That's not the way.
I think those are
When I
people
was
are gonna
locked
get
up-
fucked up or gonna get
When I
fucked
was
up
locked
It's
up,
true.
85% of the people in there are there with meth-related crimes. It's
But
either
like-
for
Holy
having meth.
shit.
That's just my estimation. It's not a real statistic.
Okay,
But it's
I was
either
like,
it's either
what?
having meth or stealing cars when they're fucking need more dope. and
So
they
do
need
you
more
think
money,
do you
or they
think
fucking shoot
legalizing
somebody
my
when
question
they're
is this
tweaked out?
my question is this, do you think legalizing drugs will increase drug use or decrease drug use, and why?
I think when it comes to meth, it will increase it. Because once you smoke that motherfucking drug, you want more of it.
But
you
if
could be
you-
drunk and somebody could be
but
like, snort
if
a
you-
line.
The thing you're
And
not
now you're not even drunk
The
no
thing
more.
you're
You just
not
want more meth.
thinking about is what if you have programs in place from a very young age for kids to be like, all right, this is meth. This is what meth will do to you. This is why you don't want to smoke meth. And that you have that as a child. You have it in high school. You have it in college. And then you have all these resources.
They already do.
Well, I believe if we're talking about crime, for instance,
Because for me, when I was a
if
kid, we had that. I never wanted to do drugs.
crime isn't just in America off of drugs. It's bigger in Mexico.
Yeah.
The cartels and all that shit, they use all the drug money that we have here to fund their wars in Mexico.
Interesting point, because if you legalize all drugs, then you start
They lose the
opening-
power.
they
Cartel
lose a
lose
lot of
power.
money.
They lose a lot of power, but there's going to be cartels here in the United States
They're
that
already
gain
here.
power.
Yeah, they're already here.
I'm talking about American cartels, not Mexican ones.
Oh, okay.
There might be new ones. There's always going to be somebody that
How,
exploits
how
the
would there be a
situation.
cartel at that point if it's being controlled and taxed and you just need a dispensary to go get your fucking fix?
It depends on the drug. It depends on what it is. Personally, I feel like if you legalize meth, it's a fucking horrible idea. It's a terrible, terrible
Oh,
idea.
I'm just saying.
I've seen it firsthand, man. Like that shit.
Yeah, that's awful.
You guys
bro.
ever done meth?
I just feel like if you
I have.
remove,
It's an
I feel
awful
like
drug.
if you
I
remove,
know a
Shouldn't be
lot of
legal,
them.
bro. It
I
should
feel
not
like
be
if you
legal.
remove the stigma and you educate the public, the majority of people will choose not to do it. Yeah, you might have a slight increase in like users.
We
and,
already
like,
had the DARE program though, so you have a good point, and I actually agree that education could be a good deterrent, right? It could be an excellent deterrent, but that's operating under the assumption that that education would be correctly thought out, planned out, executed.
Yeah, it has to be. This is
And
an
that's the problem.
ideal
That's the
situation.
problem with liberals is that they always think that they're going to be able to fix a problem by creating a fucking what do you call it, like a regulatory system to manage it, but then it doesn't get executed properly because the people that are managing it aren't very good at their fucking jobs. So it sounds good in theory. And I'm not saying it wouldn't work. I'm just saying that I have my doubts because I went through the DARE program as a kid.
Yeah, we all smoke weed.
And we all smoke weed. All of us.
Y'all, you do gateway drugs.
But here's the thing. I went through the DARE program as a kid,
I went to church, but I'm gay anyway.
Listen,
you know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is.
I went through the DARE program too. But I ended up smoking weed, and I've done like, little psychs. But like, I never did anything.
But not everybody's like you.
I never did anything that was hard.
Some people are pretty impulsive though, and they don't really think the way that you do. You're a very smart person. And not everybody.
It just
like
didn't
you.
seem logical to be like, all right, let me do some.
Not everybody's logical.
Let me do
homie.
some heroin.
Not everybody's logical though.
Let me do some meth.
Most people aren't logical. X.
No.
You're a very rare breed of a person. Most people ain't like you.
I'm just saying. It just doesn't. I feel like I'm like, what I was taught as a child, I'm like, yeah, I'm staying away from coke. I've never done coke my whole life, dude. I've never done fucking anything super crazy.
Well, that's also a black people thing, in my opinion. I've met some black people that do coke.
I knew quite a few.
But I'm about to tell you, I know a lot of black people that do not fuck with hard drugs because they have the philosophy of like, I'm selling this shit, I ain't fucking doing it. And when I was in prison, that's the way it was. Is that most of the fools that are in there, everybody in prison does heroin. They all do fucking meth, right? The blacks really don't, bro. They smoke weed. That's it.
Yeah,
you find a few of them here and there.
Light.
You'll find a few of them
shit.
here and there. But most blacks in prison, they do not do meth and they don't fucking do heroin. They don't fuck around with that at all.
Cultural thing.
It's
Cultural
a cultural thing, I think, where like we sell it, we don't fucking do it.
I feel like everyone should have, in my opinion, everyone I know has someone in their family that's really fucked up too.
That's true.
And that's like an example to
For
be like,
sure.
damn, I don't want to be like.
And I guess to argue against my own point, you could like use the crack epidemic as a fucking counterpoint to that.
So there you
but
go.
that was in my opinion
the CIA fucking planted
that
that
was
shit.
that wasn't
was intentional.
that was because they made it more available to that fucking community rather than it
like-
being
like-
they were predisposed to doing it.
Hey blacks, you want some crack?
Exactly. You want some of this shit?
Want some crack?
You'll forget all your problems.
Yeah, that'll make everything better.
But
Go smoke
they
this
got
crack.
hip and they got wiser. At least in my experience.
Sprinkle some crack
I'm just
on 'em,
speaking
let's get outta here,
strictly.
bro.
Smoke some crack with me.
I'm speaking strictly
some
from
crack
what
with
I've
me, bro.
seen. Just from what I've
Sit
seen.
the fuck down, smoke some crack with me, bro.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I met a lot of black crackheads in my life. You know, one of them offered me a blowjob for $15 one time when I gave her a ride a mile up the road.
$15?
Yeah, I did it.
That's lunch.
Is this a 5 o'clock free crack giveaway?
I asked her to buy me a pack of cigarettes at a gas station because I forgot my ID and I was at the gas station right next to my fucking crib. And she was like, yeah, she fucking was like, I'll buy you a pack of cigarettes if you give me a ride a mile up the road.
I suck your
And
dick.
I was like, cool. And she bought me the pack of cigarettes. When she got in my car, she was like, what if I suck your dick for this change?
There's something you don't know about me, Joe.
And I did like a Terminator 2 evaluation of her, where I was like, beep, 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 beep. And I was like, missing the teeth.
Cold sores on the
She
lip.
got a
Missing
fucking,
the teeth for a blowjob?
You know,
Missed
you might have-
opportunity.
not all of them.
Oh, yeah, that's
one
weird.
or two
All
snaggle
right?
teeth.
Yeah, you
Ew,
got a snaggle tooth. All right.
Ew,
Yeah.
never mind.
hook you.
Missing the teeth, wearing the kufi, got no hair, look like you haven't showered in a couple days. Nah, I'm okay. I'm good.
She said.
She
"There's
said
something you don't know about me,
$10.
James, but I smoke crack.
So I pulled
smoke
over
crack.
and I was like, you got to get out of my car. And I had this little, like, I was driving a 1995 Toyota Camry. There's an e-brake right there with a little thing right there.
You
where I used
ripped
to keep
it?
all my change. I used to-
Just give
I
it
used
all
keep
to
my
her.
change. Nah, when she got out of my car, she grabbed a handful of change and ran off into the rain. And
No.
I just laughed because I was like, that was like $2.
She just like ran off like a
It
little
was
roach in the
mostly
darkness.
pennies
Just like,
she just ran off. And
She
I
was
was like,
plotting that, bro. She
Dog.
was plotting that the whole
so
time.
I'm not saying there aren't black crackheads. I'm just saying that I met a lot more people that are of other races that will fuck around with hard drugs like meth and fucking.
I mean,
heroin. In
we-
Arizona.
We can drive through the city of Chicago and like
feel like
Apache
maybe it's a
Junction is a
demographic.
white
there is
town.
hella fucking
It is very white in
It's
Apache
very
Junction.
white.
there is hella fucking
It's white
crack.
meth.
It's white like the drugs they use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's hella crackies of all demographics, bro.
You ever met an Asian crackhead? I
No.
never have in my whole life.
Yeah, because you guys just
You
get
said
fucking,
all. No, I'm
You guys get
said all,
mentally
bro.
and emotionally abused by your parents into success,
yeah.
just like the Jews. So, do you know any Jewish crackheads? I don't know any.
No, but I met some Jewish weed heads.
That's different.
Honestly, I used to rip them off because I knew they had money.
So they're still gonna end up.
Should we
being,
edit that out?
They're still
Probably
gonna end
should,
up
bro.
being successful.
Don't say that.
I don't know. That was pretty funny.
That was good, but I don't know.
I pulled up to this fool's house one time, and he lived in like this neighborhood that was like a bunch of doctors living there.
I've never met a poor Jewish person.
It was.
I'm sorry.
I have.
Not one.
I haven't. Never. And I got family that's Jewish, but I pulled up into this fucking driveway at his parents' house or whatever, and like his family's like doctors and all that shit. And the driveway was so long it could have fit like 8 cars in there. I remember going to the back or whatever and sitting on this bench and smoking weed with him and his homie and shit. And he was like, "Fucking try this." I had like ounces of keef and all this shit, and it was weird, man. Like,
smoke this moon rock, bro.
I just knew that I could charge him $500 for an ounce of weed. I just knew.
I just knew.
Hey, granted,
James
this is 18-year-old James.
James
right?
like, I know I can party for the
Been a
weekend
whole
off of
lifetime
this.
since then.
James like, I'm gonna party for the whole weekend off this fool's money.
That's what
right
it was.
now.
And I used to be scandalous back in the day, bro. People would be like, "Yo, this sack looks short," and I'd go into another room and be like, "All right, I'll add
You
some
just
more."
fucking move it around
And
a little bit.
and I'd
just
come back
bring it
out and be like,
Here
"Where you
go.
going?" They'd be like, and I'll just gaslight them, and they'd be like, "All right, yeah, looks cool."
All I did was crunch it up a little bit. Here you go, fool. Take your shit.
Yeah, it's different now.
I need
So
this 10% bigger.
you
all of a
charge
sudden.
back in the day. That's what you did. You charge people what you think they're gonna pay.
It's like going on Fridays and be like, this steak came out fucking undercooked or overcooked or some shit.
Yeah, exactly. They're bringing the same piece of meat out.
There you go.
There you go. It's
We
cold
just
now.
dropped it on the floor. Rub my balls on it.